rather go 100 years in the past, live 100 years in the past, or live 100 years in the future?
100 years in the past or 100 years in the future?
100 years in the past. How to ride a horse here.
I would say.
So would I rather go 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future? I honestly, ma'am.
I'm betting on future.
Okay.
Hey, Knox, look at this. Look.
It's actually good though.
Look at mine.
They go boom, boom.
Look at mine.
It's flat. It's a pancake.
This is quality. I see. It was at the bottom of the bag, so it was real. So everybody always talks about going to the past, and they always tell me about how the past is so great. It's wonderful because we had less stuff and things like that. But as far as less like simple things, stuff like that. But honestly, I think that people haven't changed over time at all. Realistically, not the way people are, discussing. Like you still have the same emotions, you still have the same needs, you still have the same desires, you still have everything like that. And going in the past, you'd literally die from dysentery. You know what I'm saying? Whereas today, you just go to the hospital and get that figured out. You had to travel. Life was a lot harder. You had to work a lot more. I couldn't just go buy a cheeseburger from somebody up the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now if you go 100 years in the future,
wait.
I mean,
You can change what things happen, and you can
well, we never talk about going in the past and changing events. So we just talk about would you rather live in past or future?
Yeah, no, I would probably.
events, but
I would probably agree with the theory that no matter what you do, that time always fixes itself. Like, I feel like you can't probably change
you
time.
can tell people for a long time ago how to make a human.
Well, that's the reason why
Okay,
time
but
travel is. A lot of people think it's impossible because it would create paradoxes that can't be resolved. Because if you look, let's say you go back in time, stop your grandparents from meeting, then you don't exist. But if you don't exist, then how did you stop them from meeting? See, it creates a logical paradox, which is part of the reason why I can't.
Okay, but time travel in itself is kind of silly because, I mean, you could probably have like a ripple.
Well, it assumes time is linear as well.
Well, I get tired of the time travel where it talks about if you go back and step on a bug, now you just destroyed the future.
The butterfly effect?
Yeah, butterfly effect. I think it's right.
The butterfly effect is it's where small actions turn into major, large actions, such as maybe if the butterfly effect is even if you just attend this historical event, just you being in the crowd messed up history and it could create a butterfly effect where it spirals out of control. Because what if a guy that was supposed to be there, you took his place instead?
But if you go in the past, you wouldn't exist. I would say if you're talking about would I rather go 100 years in the future, 100 years in the past, you can't have the stipulation to where you would have the knowledge from the future in the past, though, because literally that, that wouldn't make any sense. What time period would you like to live in?
It's kind of rough. Because with the past, we know what we're getting. With the future, it's Russian roulette.
Well, I understand. But if you were going to say live 100 years in the past, you're going to go to 100 years in the past. And then you still know what's going to happen in the future because then you would literally completely fork up everything. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't go in the past and be like,
what you're saying.
Oh, you have to drink clean water and you can do this and you can get solar power and you can do all this stuff. If you go back in the past, that's a stipulation. You would just want to go back in the past, live in the past.
You
literally
being present just messed up because you weren't supposed to be present.
Right, but if you go in the past, the thing is that I don't like the whole gyp thing where you're like, oh, and then I'll show everybody how to do this stuff. You literally. That's
not how that. Yeah, no, that's kind of screw things up.
No, but then you would screw. So this is where it's headache. Don't ask a silly question like, would you like to live 100 years in the past or 100 years? No, not it.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
No, but the thing.
No.
Oh no, stop.
I said, would you rather go in the past or go in the future?
Oh, okay. But
100 years in the past.
Okay, but if you go there, you would have to go there you would have to want to live there in that time period, but you wouldn't have the knowledge of the future because the future does not exist.
Also, Dad, it shows that we've never invented time machines. Because why wouldn't someone from the future just come back to us?
Yeah, because if we invented time, I guess that's true. Because then they would just come back and teach us how to.
Well, time is only a thing that is. Okay, humans are the ones that look at time. Time, in theory, doesn't even exist. You guys understand that, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Time doesn't exist. The only reason why time exists is because human beings are trying to, map out when to plant their crops and what time they should be at work.
Assuming time does exist, who says it's
Doesn't.
linear? Who says it goes in a straight line? Like who says that we're right here in the middle and then here's the past and here's the future?
Time literally doesn't
What if
exist.
time is cyclical? What if time goes in a circle?
So the only people that run off of time are humans. Animals don't run off of time. The planets don't run off of time. Time is something that people actually say they don't even believe it exists.
Items don't run off of time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you say how, but
Okay. I'm not trying to make you guys schizo and overthink, but literally, the only people that go off of time are human beings. The only living organisms in this world that go off of time are humans.
Time is a human-based construct.
It literally does not exist.
It is. Humans are the only things that really think about time. Like an animal, you could say, well, it comes out at night. It doesn't do that. It just because it comes out at night, it doesn't think, well, it's a certain time I'm supposed to do this at. Well,
like go to bed.
Or I've been alive for this many years. They're trying to measure time. They don't do that like that.
Nothing does that.
That's why people are special. Because man is a reasoning creature. Man likes to think about things like that. Tries to time it out using logic. Because time is essential for logic. Because with time, you can logically set up how events are structured. Although time is a concept made up by humanity, without time, we wouldn't have a lot of the great discoveries that we have without time.
The time in itself really doesn't matter.
It matters for the advancement of society.
Not really.
It really does.
Well, advanced to what?
Without the concept of time, humanity would never have progressed.
But it progressed to what?
Technologically and philosophically.
Okay. But what are we progressing to?
I suppose ideal progress would be towards a society without suffering, which isn't possible, but you can get close.
That's impossible.
It's not possible. But what it is it's an idea that you can try to get close to.
So I've read the Bible, and the Bible lines up better with anything than any other book on this planet.
It's something
Where there'll be more suffering, not less suffering.
What it is,
There'll be more problems, not less problems.
What it is, it's something that you want to try to aim towards. You can't aim towards a complete elimination, but you can try to stop poverty. You can't completely eliminate poverty, but you can do what you can to stop poverty.
But then you're going to have a whole new generation come in, and then there's going to be more or less poverty for that generation.
Obviously, there'll still be problems, but you can still do what you can do.
Dennis, listen.
You can still try to solve those problems.
No, you're thinking like a bleeding heart person. It's not realistic. Okay?
Of course it's not realistic.
You know what you can take care of?
And of course you can't solve all the problems in the world.
But you know what you can take care of? You can grow up to not be a piece of shit that doesn't have a job, and then teach your kids not to be a piece of shit that doesn't have a job, that doesn't take care of their family.
But you can do more than the bare minimum.
Okay, that is not the bare minimum.
You as an individual, you don't have to do great acts in society, but you as an individual.
What are you talking about?
Society as a whole.
Here's how
your actions that you make have a great
here's how you take care of society. Don't be a piece of garbage that won't get a job and sits on the side of the road and gets drugged up all the time. That's how you can contribute to poverty in society.
But as an individual,
what? Not.
No, as an individual,
and then teach your kids the same. And some of them are going to go that way, and some of them are going to go straight.
No, but individual progress is very important. What you as an individual can do to stop crime or poverty or all the problems of the world. It's very important. You don't have to do very much, but what you as an individual do is oftentimes more effective than what the government can do or what other people can do. What do you say?
I don't even know what you're talking about. You're talking too big scale things. No, you're literally discussing something that's way off. Time doesn't exist, okay? Time exists for human beings.
No, it doesn't exist.
Hey, you guys need to take care of your trash.
You can argue that time doesn't exist. But without the concept of time, I argue that we would not have gotten to where we are today progress.
Where have we gotten to?
What?
We got to a point where we can just go and we can get the food that we need easily. We got to a point where society,
Thanks a lot, appreciate
the average person is far better off even 50 years, even more than 50 years ago.
Better off how? How are we better off today than we were 50 years ago?
The meeting the need. I think it's better off talking about meeting the needs, basic needs of the citizens, and allowing for greater freedom for
What the hell are you talking about?
We have gotten better off as a country.
Bro, do you listen to philosophy at nighttime?
We have gotten
No,
more
you're talking about the horse shit. I'm telling you right now, son. You're talking from an inexperienced point of view, son.
the country and nation.
We are
the
not
world
getting
has gotten
better.
more prosperous.
Oh, that's right. That's why. We're just having a discussion about nothing. That's why I'm just playing my live feed, see if it's working. Okay, you think that we're better off now than we were 50 years ago?
Absolutely.
How?
I think that
Now we put chlorine in our water instead of just filtering it, right? So now we all get chlorine and chemicals in it.
water chlorination is one of the greatest developments of all time for water purification. That actually allowed for far pure water and has saved millions of lives.
If you want.
The chlorination of water has saved
I'm just
millions
testing on my
of
live feed.
lives. So yes, I believe that was a positive development.
No.
The chlorination of water has quite literally saved millions of lives.
Okay. So anyways, what? Come brush your teeth. Nobody cares. Oh, your new toothbrush is over there. So, hold on. I'm just going over here. Okay, but what you're discussing, you need to go over here. I'm just messing around and see if it works. So,
Now, we're just having a discussion.
but what you're discussing though, son, is you're talking like I'm not trying to be rude, son. I don't want to put you down, but the world is not getting better. The world is not getting better.
The world is getting better than that.
Better like how?
Quite possibly, the world in some ways you could argue that has not gotten better. But progress-wise, technologically, in the average life of a human being, you can't deny that the average life of human beings.
Yeah,
across
right
the
now
world
I
has
could
gotten
talk
better.
to somebody from Korea, right now.
It
if I
has
wanted
gotten
to.
better. And if it has shown that humans continue
Son,
to progress, so
you
will
sound.
we not progress and get better and have and improve the
No,
life
hold
of
on.
the average
But
person?
you sound like a freaking politician. That's what you sound like. The world is not getting better. We are not progressing as far as you think. People are getting less and less active. People are getting lazier. We have more technology. We have more, some of our stuff. We have more ways to cure, different diseases, but we're not getting better.
What you're suggesting are the same old
I'm not
problems.
suggesting shit.
What
I'm
you're
telling
saying
you.
are the same old problems. That
No,
affect-
you
it's
literally
always
said
different every
because
time.
because of time, we're getting better. Time doesn't exist except for human beings.
Time is
Son,
a construct.
when
It's
you
essential
are
to the
dead-
development of logic,
When you are
and
dead,
therefore all human thought.
but when you are dead and you are worm food, who gives a rip about anything you did? The only reason why there's great men on this planet is because we make
It's not
them
about
great.
legacy.
No.
It's about what we
No,
leave
it
for
is-
the people after us.
What are you talking about? That talks. You sound like a freaking.
Because you're gonna affect the lives of people after you. Your
You
decisions
sound
are
like
things
a
that.
wicked ass pagan. So that's the way they talk.
The things that you do is gonna help. It's gonna affect the world,
No,
whether you like it or not. It affects the world for the people after you.
Yeah, everything we do affects the world. Everything human beings does affects the world.
So I'd like to try to leave a better world than the way we found it.
That's fine, but you can do that without getting all crazy saying that we have to stop poverty. You go down. I tell you what.
Of course you
I
can't
tell you
stop
what.
poverty.
Go down to where all the homeless people are there, and the 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds
No,
that
of
are
course you can't
homeless.
stop poverty, but it should be a good goal to try to reduce poverty, shouldn't it?
Well, yeah, you should reduce poverty, but the problem is so much.
And don't you believe that the individual is far more effective than the government 9 times out of 10?
Duh. But the thing
What I'm saying is that if you truly don't like seeing poverty and you don't like seeing the problems of the world, you as an individual are more effective than the government rather than just sitting here and letting the problems fix themselves.
Okay, but what you're not understanding is the human nature and the sinful nature of a person. That's what you're not understanding. Some of those people, they don't want freaking help.
That's true.
They just want
That's
stop.
why I can't live. But in your
No,
life,
don't talk to politician. I've seen it specifically in my life where you go and try to help somebody and they don't want it, or they just want your money and that's it. It's not.
Nobody's saying get money to grand surgery. What I'm saying is your friend here, he's late on his rent.
What's your
and
problem?
you help him out with it. Rather than letting him lose his apartment, why don't you say, well, hey, you're my friend. I've known you for years. I can spot you some money and let you help you with your apartment.
Okay, then
he keeps his apartment and he keeps.
He's late next month. He's late next month.
I'm not saying you bail everybody out all the time, but the small things that you do are very effective.
I've literally bailed people out and they screwed me over and never did anything for me ever. I remember a dude that went AWOL in the army. He's like, can I borrow $50? I want to go home I'm sorry, it's like $20. I lent a guy some money in the army because he wanted to go home to his family for the weekend, okay? And he borrowed money from me. I said, sure, you can borrow money from me, just pay me back on payday. He never returned. And when he did return, he returned in handcuffs. He sure to give me my money back. You're not going to help everybody by going down and just passing out money to everybody.
No, nobody's suggesting that. But
you are.
No, I'm not.
You just literally said give money to your friend to pay his rent.
I'm saying
maybe it's better for him.
I'm saying the small things that you do.
Okay, maybe it's better for him to go get a better job to pay for the rent that he needs to pay for. Maybe he needs to stop spending his money on booze on the weekend.
That things haven't gotten better because there's always problems. There have always been problems, and I can demonstrate it.
I'm not joking. You're talking like a politician. Politicians are retarded.
I'm talking like a person.
You're talking like a politician.
That the world can get better.
Wait till you get thrown out on your ass. Wait till you get kicked out of this house and you have to survive on your own and you're struggling. And what am I supposed to do? Bail you out every time?
Of course the world has suffering. And of course it has misery. And of course it has problems.
But what you're talking...
don't you believe that you can do something to make
Do you know what I'm doing? I'm telling my boys to get jobs whenever they can, to not be pieces of shit sitting on the side of the road. That's what I'm doing. And if everybody did that to their kids, there'd be a hell of a lot less people begging on the side of the road. And if people stopped sitting there giving out handouts every time somebody struggles a little bit, we wouldn't be in the problems we're in. Not everybody gets a fucking trophy. Not everybody can have a fucking trophy.
I don't support large government programs. Obviously there should be some government programs.
You're still going off.
But I think that as the individual, what you do is very, very important in your life. The impact that you leave is very important.
And then you tell your boys to go get a job so that they can take care of themselves. And you show them how to get a job. And you say, this is how you pay bills, and that is how you do it. You do not go down and help out everybody that struggles. If somebody is struggling with their rent, and they're literally blowing all their money on bullshit, Amazon, things like that, if I continue to support them, they're not going to get better. If a guy comes
obviously you use your own discretion.
But the thing is that better be a damn good friend for me to pay his rent.
Obviously you use your own discretion. But I'm saying that it is the individual.
That's a little bit different. Somebody struggled a little bit, or someone who is a chronic struggler who is not getting it. Sometimes you better go live in your freaking car and get your shit together and get your life on track.
I'm saying you can't use discretion. No one's saying you can't use discretion without you saying. But I'm saying that you as an individual are going to have a far bigger impact on
politician.
No, you're wrong. And everybody can see what you're saying from a mile away. A real man who sits there and understands the stuff can see what you're saying from a mile away. Son, you don't touch it. Your mom was sick. She was drinking that. What's going on is a real man can see what you're saying from a mile away. You're speaking like a politician, and politicians are so disconnected from that. I will literally tell you right now, whenever you have money and you go take it to some random person that's sitting on the side of the road and you give them your $20 and they could give a shit.
No, but I never said that.
They could give a shit that you just gave them money and just fed them for the day. Then you can sit there and come back to me and start saying, well, we got to help.
Never suggested that.
What did you suggest?
I didn't suggest that. I'm saying that you as an individual have more power to affect the people around you than anybody else.
No shit. So what are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. Is rather than...
But you said that we could get rid of poverty or reduce poverty. No, we cannot.
I'm saying that I believe.
Do you know what has happened with everybody trying to reduce poverty? They've literally caused poverty. You know what happens with all the baby boomers trying to prevent poverty? They literally have caused it because they keep giving handouts.
I'm simply saying
They created more poverty.
That I believe humanity can make poverty better. It can lessen poverty. I don't believe that you can eliminate poverty, but I believe you can lessen.
How? It is such a problem now.
How you can eliminate poverty is a very complex question that requires a lot of thinking. That would be a discussion of its own. I'm not here to tell you how to solve poverty.
Dude,
I'm here to say that I believe as a society that you can lessen poverty. And I believe that as time goes on, people will find better ways to solve and deal with poverty. I don't believe you can completely eliminate poverty, but I do know that you can make it better. Excuse me.
Okay, but how would I make poverty better?
That's a very complex question.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm not here to give answers on how to make poverty better.
Nobody's listening, dude. So it's just like, but how would you make?
I'm not here to give answers on how to make poverty better. Okay, I don't doubt that requires a lot of thought. It's very complicated, very complex. It's a very large issue. It's not just a small section. It's a very large issue, just all poverty. But I do believe there are ways to lessen poverty, and then I believe that humanity, as time goes on, as humanity has always done, will find better ways to deal with the same problem. Okay,
I understand what you're saying. Like, we have more food source. We have more stuff like that, but it's actually created more poverty. It's like the government trying to have the project for people to try to help people have housing where it's safe. But the problem is that then by them creating that, it's creating more crimes, more problems, more stuff like that. Of course,
I'm not advocating for any of that, and I'm not saying how to solve poverty. But I believe that people have gotten better about solving poverty over time. I believe that people have gotten better at solving poverty than 100 years ago. That we've gotten better about the issue of poverty than 100 years ago. I believe that as time goes on, people, it proves, as you can just see in any issue you think about, as time goes on, people have generally gotten better on certain issues about how to fix it. And issues that plague humanity since the beginning of time, such as starvation. You have starvation as an issue. Is even very low income people, most people are not starving. Most people are not starving.
What you're saying is not making a lot of sense. I mean,
I'm saying that we can't. I don't believe that we can completely find answers to most of the issues that are just issues about being human. Poverty is a natural thing about being human. There's always going to be poverty. There's always going to be lack. There's always going to be want. But I do believe that whatever issue that we're faced with, that generally we will get better at solving that issue.
But what you're talking like a politician. Politicians say bullshit like what you're saying, but they don't actually go on the street and then really realize what is going on. You know what I mean? There's certain politicians out there that they don't really, know what the hell is going on. They say exactly what you're saying there.
Look, I don't believe that people at their core, every person at their core.
Dude, are you a Christian?
Yeah, absolutely.
So shut up about all this extra stuff, man. It's just extra crap.
It's interesting to think about. It's important because
everybody can help. You don't think that you're the only one that doesn't want to help out, but here's the thing: a lot of people don't want help. A lot of people don't desire.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how you as an individual, you can help as an individual make a big impact on you can make a big impact on the world just as an individual. I'm not saying what you're doing. I'm not even saying if the impact you're having is good. I'm simply saying that individuals have a large impact. I'm not suggesting any program. I'm not suggesting any solutions. If you'll notice, I haven't suggested any solutions. What you're saying, you have a combat. I believe that people generally have gotten good about fixing the problem.
Okay, but what you're saying, that's my boy right there, Tim. That's my boy. I have you Biden on the background. But what you're talking about, son, is that all it came up was about time. Time is completely used. Time doesn't really exist. Okay.
No, it doesn't exist.
Not really.
Not really. but
Not
it's
really.
essential for logic. It helps you set.
But what you're talking about is coming up with things that us as humans want, and us as humans, whatever. You could wipe out the whole freaking human population, and guess what? The world doesn't give a shit. Okay, it doesn't matter. The whole population could be gone, and God could just literally wipe us out. And guess what? It doesn't matter. The world's going to continue on as long as God wants to continue on. That's it. So all this other talk about like, oh, all of our we're 8 billion-ish people. Was like 30, 40,000.
Yeah, but nobody knows.
People die every day, and then there's like a 60, 70,000 are born every day. I mean, it's just a nonstop thing. And out of those thousands, here's what people don't understand.
When the world is going to end. Nobody knows that.
Okay.
But don't you think that it's important that we could try our best? As an individual, you could say, hey, you know what?
Well, that's what being Christian's about. You're supposed to try like that. And that's what it's being about. You can try.
And same with what you're talking about, time. Time is important for logic and reasoning, which is very important. It's unique. And you're talking
that
God gave us logic and reasoning,
but you're
for
talking
a reason.
You're talking 30 years difference in experience here. I have 30 years more experience on this planet than you.
I know.
And I can tell you flat out right now, what you're pushing, this bleeding heart kind of attitude,
What did I say?
Just like, oh, we can help all these people and logic and reasoning all the time.
I said that logic and reasoning are important parts of being a human being. I think that God gave us logic and reasoning for a reason. And I think that logic and reasoning are fundamental to being a human being. And that's what separates us from the animals is logic and reasoning. Logic and reasoning, the ability to think, the ability to have logic and understand things and reason. To be able to work things out and be able to have capable of complex thought. And be able to tackle things that aren't just straightforward as, well, I need to go get food or I need to go what complex thought problems, complex thoughts like, why should I keep working and farming if the world's just gonna go on and I'm gonna die? There's reasons like that. That's why we're capable of complex thought, and so it's not wrong to use it. It's not wrong to ask questions or say, well, I wonder why this works the way it does, or why do people act like this way.
You're kind of pissing me off because you're acting.
Logic and reasoning have helped advance society.
What I'm flat out telling you right now, time does not exist. Do you understand?
You can
what
make
I'm
the
saying?
argument that time doesn't exist.
No, it's not even argument. It's literally the truth.
And I'm not going to argue. Time. I'll actually agree with you. That time is a human-made construct. But it is an essential human-made construct.
It exists. It's the same as daylight savings time. It does not really exist.
Yes, but I will agree with you that time is a human-made construct. But it is an essential human-made construct. Time is essential. Real or not, it is essential.
So the only reason why we came up with time was to tell how old we are, to basically to have an idea of when we're going to die or what age we do different stuff and things like that. Age and everything. But
naturally, humans comprehend time. Without being taught time, a human comprehends time. You don't have to tell. You don't have to tell. You don't have to tell a young child when it's time for bed. They understand. And that's when it's getting dark. Well, that's when it's time for bed.
That's just a natural thing people go.
It's time.
But that's not.
They understand that.
But when you start discussing years,
yeah, they understand that obviously things have changed. Something has changed. If all of the planet, everything is changing as you go along, obviously something has changed.
Right, but what you're discussing, son, is...
You can make the case that time isn't real.
No.
Or you can make the case that it is real.
No. You're literally, it doesn't matter because generations come. Whole generations die out. Whole generations are born. Whole generation, it's constantly changing. I can tell you 2 generations ago.
Of course.
So, but what you're discussing right now about making the world better, it's not getting better. It's never going to get better. I'm not freaking joking with you. It's never going to get better. It's going to get worse.
I don't ever believe that the human spirit itself will change, really. But I do believe that technologically we're going to continue to progress, and that
technologically, yeah.
Continue to progress.
But as far as human beings go, we're not going to get better.
No, of course
there's not going to be
less. We're going to get better, and I don't think we're going to get worse. I think we're going to have the same human.
There's not going to be less poverty. There's not going to be, I mean, it might be a little bit less poverty overall. There's not going to be less homeless people. There's not going to be less homelessness. There's going to be more homelessness.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not going to prevent it. Every generation tries to do something about it, and they just make it
I'm not arguing for the elimination of poverty. Although that is a good goal, it's not an achievable goal. It's not. And you shouldn't start sacrificing things, and we have to sacrifice things because we're going to try to eliminate poverty. It's not an achievable goal. But what is an achievable goal is reducing poverty. That's what mostly I would like. That's what mostly I would hope that people in the future get better is reducing things. Of course, you can't end the problems of the world.
But you're not going to reduce it. Okay, let's say you reduce it for a half of a generation. There's a new generation coming.
But it made an impact for that half of a generation.
But that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean...
I'm not saying you should make these tremendous sacrifices and we need to raise our taxes because there's going to be a brand new thing for the elimination of poverty. I'm saying that as time goes on, we're going to find better solutions to these problems than the ones.
Okay, but that's just natural human.
That's what I'm saying.
That's just.
So natural. I'm saying, why would the trend not continue into the future about getting better and better about these things? Do we not understand more about diseases than we did?
Okay, we do.
Even 100 years ago.
Okay, but what you're discussing.
So I'm saying 100 years in the future.
You're not talking.
We're going to be better off in a lot of areas.
Okay.
And obviously, in some areas, we might be worse off. That's just what happens sometimes.
You brought up.
But generally, the world would probably be better.
What the hell are you on?
I'm not talking about the condition of society.
Literally,
I'm simply talking about the condition
whenever
of living.
Things get better in the world, it's a short period. It's a short period in time. It's never like long term. It never has been since the beginning of time.
No, but steadily.
There has never been. And I'm telling you right now, go back in the Bible. Even the Bible, there's never been a long stretch of good. Where it's like hundreds of years and 50, 70, 80. It's never is.
Nobody's talking like that, but I'm talking about it steadily progresses.
And then it declines. Because humans that want more money, the less money. Buddy, you're going down the wrong path. I'm done talking to you. I'm done. Because you don't understand. You don't have the experience to understand what you're saying. You're talking like...
I would argue that
you're talking like... You're talking... No, stop. You're talking like a politician who's never walked out on a street before or talked to anybody before. You're acting like a politician that's never... You're acting like some of these libs that have never actually gone out and bought a gallon of milk from Walmart before. They don't even understand the regular people. You're talking specifically... You're talking like a politician that has his head so far up his ass, he doesn't even know where he is.
I would argue that you have a pessimistic viewpoint.
I do not have a pessimistic viewpoint.
You seem to insist that things will not get better in the future.
They will not get better for a long term. It never happens.
Look,
and my years of life...
for a long term.
But you're talking about
things are slowly going to get better.
No, they're not.
They always have. They always.
They'll get better and then they decline.
What we consider low income today would be incredible.
But you can have 2 good leaders in a row and then have 4 shit leaders in a row. That's just talking America. That's completely correct.
Nobody's talking about that.
It depends on the party.
I'm talking about generally.
Oh, come on, dude. You want to know what makes your life better? Go buy a ranch out in the middle of nowhere and get the frick away from everybody. That would make your life better. Trust me, it would. Disconnect from everybody. Go.
Well, look.
No, I'm not kidding. Just cut off society and get out of here. That's what would make it better.
This is a different topic. But
are you gonna jump way into it and you're gonna see very quickly the wickedness of man for yourself, and you'll realize right then and there how wicked man is. I've seen it several times. I've seen the wickedness of man. Men are so wicked. You can go out there, be that bleeding heart that tries to help all the homeless people and everything like that. But I tell you what, at the end of the day, they continually start going. You're talking about less poverty.
I'm talking about how people will find solutions to lessen poverty.
No, they've tried that for so long. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. They've tried that so long. It's just it don't work. You're talking the boomers have been doing that crap for a generation.
Look, this is on a side note, but I think it's kind of interesting. What do you think an ideal government would be like? This is a completely off topic, but I just feel like this is kind of.
So what do I think an ideal government?
So we can obviously. I think you made some good points. I think I made some good points.
No, you're not going to give yourself credit. That's not how life works. I'm going to say I did a good job. You did a good job. We're not doing that. Oh, I did a good job explaining my point.
Really, I think everybody.
You did a good job explaining your point.
But, really,
I think we all did a good job.
I really do. I think we all had.
No, I completely disagree with you. I disagree with what you're saying. 100%. I disagree with you. I think that you're looking at a long-term, like, things will progress and get better. Well, I can tell you what, two different things tell me it's not.
Yes, I'm looking at
two things that tell me.
I'm not talking about short-term. I am talking.
Oh, no, I'm talking long-term. Two things tell me it's not going to get better. One is my own personal experience in life, and two, the Bible. And it tells me flat out there, things are not going to get better. Not even close to getting better. Okay? Going to get far worse. And with more technology, you think the war that I fought 22 years ago is we're gonna have better technology now? We'll be able to obliterate more people now than we could 22 years ago.
Absolutely.
Okay, our technology 22 years ago was fantastic compared to 30 years before that. So, I mean, you got to understand that it's not going to get better. As we progress, we're going to get better weapons. We're going to get better ways to protect ourselves, better ways to threaten other countries, stuff like that. And they're going to do the same to us.
Yeah, but war never changes, really.
War changes how you
really.
fight. Oh, yes, it is.
War never changes, not really.
Stop it.
People always
stop.
find ways
Stop.
to kill themselves.
The revolution. Okay, you go back to Roman times where it's this army's lined up and this army's lined up and we're battling each other is a little bit different than me sitting here with my controller with a drone and I just take out 100 people. Like war has changed.
But it's the same objective. It's the same.
The same objective in war, is it?
It says always the same.
Is it? No, because the objective back in the day was, hey, we're going to war. I want what you have. I want the land that you have. And now we go into war because they're like, I don't like who you're friends with. You know, that's what it's different. It's a different thing. I don't want you to.
You don't think they went to war over alliances?
What?
You don't think they went to war over alliances?
Do you think that we should have a shit ton of alliances?
No, you don't think that people went to war over alliances, even like...
Son.
You know, because it says in Genesis they went to war over alliances. Back in Genesis, when they have, they're fighting in the,
over alliances?
Yeah, they went to alliances because they're allied with certain cities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, do you think that half the globe should be in alliance with each other? You can't get along with everybody? NATO?
No.
We don't have the same interests as NATO?
No, obviously don't. I'm not a globalist.
You think, like, if you take a country...
I don't want to come off as a globalist. I'm not a globalist.
It's fine. Nobody.
I think to be fair, I think we should generally have friendly relations with other nations, but I would not be in alliances with it. Very few nations would I, and they would have to be like I feel like an alliance gets thrown around too much these days. It's like, well, we're in alliance with this person. Well, alliance is supposed to be like a very firm league of friendship. I don't know.
I mean,
I think the UN's too far.
I think the UN's too far.
It's too far. I feel like in some ways they've done some good, but I feel like in a lot of other ways they get involved in things that are not really their business and can provoke wars sometimes.
Oh, dude.
So I think in a few goals I think the UN has done good, but in other things such as enforcing certain human rights things like the Geneva Convention and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably necessary to make sure that everyone's not doing horrific human. But I think once you start getting to the point of telling people getting in their country, telling them what they can and can't do, then it starts getting then it starts when you start taking stances and all like clear cut moral stances. Then it starts getting a little.
Well,
it starts getting a little bit ambiguous.
we're gonna have to cut this short here in a second. It's getting kind of late. But
yeah, I want to have one more question here.
Okay, go ahead and have your question then.
It's just like, what would you say an ideal government is? Just your idea of an ideal government. I just want to know, and I'll give my idea of what a good government probably would be.
My idea of
a good government.
Of an ideal government?
Yeah, because humans live under governments. That's usually how it works. A government is provides on stability and things like that. What would a good government be? Is it democracy? Like we have like a federal republic, a good government?
I don't think that a democracy is a good government.
Not really?
No, because you say like we're not a democracy, and
democracy can be democratically related.
We are. What do you call it?
A federal republic.
Federal republic.
Democratically related ideas can be a bit short-sighted. Democratically related governments, they can be a bit short-sighted. So I will say that. My ideal government. That's kind of a tough.
I'll be honest with you. I wish we just had a dictator.
Oh really?
Do you want me to tell you why?
No, go ahead.
Okay. As an ex-soldier and a nobody in Oklahoma, I think that we should have a dictator because I think a dictator would solve a lot of issues, and you just basically have a dude who's making decisions, and I just go live my freaking life. Okay. But what I want to happen is that I want a dictator that doesn't like jack price, actually cares about his people. And doesn't constantly like jack up taxes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had a king, like
a constitutional monarchy
just
kind of thing, where it's like there's
we're having elections again. No,
I see what you're saying. Like a constitutional monarchy where it's like, yeah, he has certain things that he can't do,
right?
But he's the monarch.
I wish we had a king. I really do. I wish we just had a king. To hell with the presidency and the government and the way it is now. I would rather just have a dictator in power. I tell you, my life would probably be better off than the way it is now. Okay.
I gotta say,
it's truly un-American, but it's I just don't give a damn.
I can see what you're saying. Ideal government. That's kind of rough. That's kind of a tough thing to answer. I think democracy is a good safeguard generally, but I would say probably you need I think what one thing the founding fathers did get right is a strong executive. I do think that was a good thing they got right. Is separating the executive and making it its own branch. It's strong. Okay. I would say probably the government that we have is it's pretty okay. It's not too bad. I like it generally.
So
I do think maybe I can see what you're saying about the need for a strong executive. I would say that the government in the United States is probably a good balance of the right stuff.
Dude, the government in the United States.
You know what I would do is maybe I would expand presidential terms. Maybe I would expand.
I would expand presidential.
I would say maybe,
there you go, perfect.
That's that. I think that would make it better.
Okay, so not a dictator, but if you expanded presidential terms, I think we'd be better.
That would be better. I think the United States generally got it right with the basics of a good government, but expanding presidential terms, I would have to agree with the I would say maybe you could do 8-year terms and unlimited. That sounds pretty good. Like you have an 8-year term, and then they can run as many times as they want.
I actually think you should have unlimited terms as a president. I don't think the president should have a term limit. But obviously, you have to get elected every 4 years or every 5 years or whatever.
Yeah,
but I don't think that it should be ending once after 5 years. I get so tired of whenever you have people that go into office and they're starting to get stuff moving, they're starting to get stuff done, and then they term out. You're like, oh, shit. They term out, and you're like, well, I guess that's over.
Well, it's like Roosevelt, he went for 4 terms. Yeah, because people wanted him. For 4 terms. I mean, it's not.
They want him on for 4 terms.
It a little bit undemocratic to let them not go again, because you know what, that seems kind of suspicious, because you know
that's what the people want.
I get what they're trying to do, like safeguard it, but it's kind of, I feel like if the people want this guy and he's doing a good job, and and the people are voting him into office, I feel like he should be allowed to keep going. And what I would support, like maybe expanding terms to like maybe 6 years instead of 4 for like each term.
I think 4 is such a short.
It's pretty short.
I mean, it's pretty short.
Maybe 6 or 8 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty short term limit. 8 years.
No, I think that the United States generally got things right. The judicial and the legislative and the executive, the 3 separated. But I feel like the executive could use some tweaks.
Yeah.
Maybe a few. Maybe a few tweaks. I feel like, it's not perfect, but I think the government that we have is generally pretty okay.
I really do believe that you should. There should be no term limits. I mean, if a president does go, I don't know what that picture.
That's such a tough question to answer, though.
No, I think that's the right thing to go with. You know, how can you term out? I mean, like you said, it's not really American. You know,
I see what you're saying. I understand it. I get it. It is kind of, it's just, it's not like they stopped. It's not like they were like, oh, Roosevelt went for 4 terms. Because what happened was he went for 4 terms, and then he got 4 terms and died in his 4th term. And the Republicans in 1951 is when they got ratified. They said, well, after he died, they said, well, we can't have someone going like that because, he went away. This had never been done before. Usually they just stuck to the 2-term precedent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he violated, it's not like he was really being a dictator. I mean, he was more or less just running and kept getting elected.
Yeah,
so I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I would probably support unlimited term limits.
I don't think that people should term out.
Maybe a good compromise would be 4-year terms, but you can keep running. That seems very good compromise to me.
Yeah.
I don't know, because there have been leaders that are popular and doing a good job, and we just have to stop.
Yeah. I agree. I really don't really think
Also,
so.
maybe the vice president could do more, because they don't really do anything. I feel like, if I was to revamp the executive branch, I feel like I would give the vice president a job. What do they do? President of the Senate. That's their only job. All they do is cast tie-breaking votes in the Senate. I don't know, man. I feel like they could have a better position. Give them something more to do. I don't know. I feel like vice president should have, some kind of influence.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like they have, their job is kind of terrible.
Kind of.
They don't really have any power. Anyway, that was a fun discussion. I'm gonna head out.
I think you're kind of acting like a bleeding heart when it comes to this.
Okay, look, I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that generally humanity will progress and find new and better solutions to problems. I'm not saying that society as a whole is going to get better. I'm just saying that generally we're going to make technological progress and we're generally going to progress. I'm not saying that we're going to be better off. What I'm saying is that we're going to be more prosperous, and not in all parts of the world, because we could say right now we're more prosperous, but some parts of Africa and the Middle, obviously they're not more prosperous. So that's but I think generally in a Western society, you're probably going to be more prosperous. But then you can't completely predict problems because we were going to solve this problem. There's new problems that hit us all the time. What I'm saying is that generally humanity will progress. Not that we are going to always be good at fixing problems. I'm just trying to say is that generally we're going to progress. That's what happens.
Okay, yeah, we'll progress regardless. So.
Not saying we're getting better. Not saying I'm not saying we're really solving things. That we're just going to progress.
Yeah, we'll progress, but that doesn't mean that we're better off within time.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No,
so.
But I think I get what you're saying. Obviously, you can't solve the world's problems, but I do believe that the individual impact is very large. I do believe that what you do as a person is it has a very big impact. Mm. And you could say, well, not technically in the grand scale of things, but what you do as a person has an impact on the people around you. I think that's important.
Okay. All right. Well,
Anyways, that was a fun discussion.
you
Let's do
pissed
it
me
again
off. You pissed
sometime.
me off several times.
Oh, come on. We should do it again.
No, you
sometime.
pissed me off.
I think you misunderstood what I was saying.
I think that you think you have more experience than you have. You sound like a freaking politician. Politicians have no idea what the hell is going on. They are so.
No, I think it's actually sad in
No,
our
because
society. That
Politicians say, "Oh, everything's
No, the
fine,
reason I sound like a
government.
politician is because I had
We're all
hope.
doing
The
great."
reason I said the reason I sound like a politician is because I have hope. Like nobody has hope anymore. I
No,
mean, good-
you-
I know. No, come on, guys. Society doesn't have to be so miserable, guys. We can have hope that things will improve. Because I feel like the media. No, I feel like I blame the media because the media is always so negative. Like things are always getting worse. I feel like there's not enough hope. I feel like when you say you have hope, everyone's like, "Well, that's a lie," because society, because you know why politicians say hope? Because they say hope because they're trying to convince people they're doing a good job. I'm saying hope because I feel like the media is so negative, and I feel like today's society feels like even if you say anything hopeful, it's like you're not saying anything. I'm honestly having hope that things will get better. I'm not having certainty or anything. I'm just having hope. Like and the reason why politicians use hope is to get elected. I am literally a normal
Dad,
person.
can
I'm
you
just saying
buy
hope.
toothpaste?
You don't need toothpaste.
Oh, yeah, it's that.
So what you do is you gotta roll it.
Always getting a technique.
You have to roll the toothpaste.
I
There's
did.
nobody watching, so yeah, you got it on there. There you go. Good job.
But yes, we need more.
Do you have teeth in your mouth?
Yes?
Looks like we have enough toothpaste.
Dad! No, we don't. We have like 3 squeezes left.
Hmm.
What you want to do?
When one turned black, he'll buy more.
Oh, what?
What the hell did you say? What the hell did you just say? My point is with people though is it's not gonna progressively get better. It's gonna get worse. And I've seen it over my years. It's not like the older I get, the more I look at the world, I'm like, oh, it's gotten so much better. It's gotten worse, man. People have gotten worse. People are so disconnected. They could give a damn about other people. They don't care. The sad thing
But
is,
people 100 years ago have the same criticism
But here's
about
the deal.
people around them.
so as time progresses, people care less about other people. And what sucks, I hate to say it, is I feel the same way because I've seen so many bad people. I've met so many wicked people in my life that even I, somebody could ask for help and I'll sit there and judge it because I just don't trust them. Because I've had too many people sit
Well,
there.
what I'm saying, there's a quote that goes, maybe the world's not getting better, maybe it's not getting worse, maybe it's just going around as usual. Maybe these are just the same problems that humans always have, maybe it's just the same stuff that always happens.
Yeah, it doesn't change. So
I believe that in the long term, things will get better technologically. We'll probably have more progress, and people will probably be better off as a whole. But I can't even make that. No one can make that assertion really because they don't even know. I mean, these are all just speculation because no one knows really what the world's going to be like in 100 years.
and why would it matter? No, realistically,
It wouldn't matter to you. It wouldn't matter to me. It wouldn't matter.
it doesn't matter to you
to me,
either because
really,
you'd be
no.
115. It's not gonna matter. Who gives a crap when it's gonna be like in 100 years? You'll be more than likely dead. And I'm trying to be like, oh,
But
but
then
100.
you can't speculate that because who knows what's going to happen in the future?
Oh no,
Who knows what's going to improve with the lifespan?
Oh no, I think you'll be dead
100 years.
unless you start harvesting people's body organs and replacing yourself
Yeah.
every 10 years and things like that. You're gonna die.
Would you ever become an organ?
So let me tell you something right now. You're gonna die. You're gonna go in the ground. Your body's gonna die. You're gonna go in the ground. It's gonna become, let's just say, worm food.
Yeah.
It's gonna get eaten up, and worms are gonna shit it out, and your body's gonna turn to a skeleton. You need to accept that,
Yeah, I know.
and you will live a much happier life than sitting there believing that you are going to live to be 100.
I know.
That you are going to sit there believing you're going to be 115.
I generally hope that
suffering in the world gets better, and that a lot of the misery and sadness. Obviously, you're never going to eliminate that. That's just part of being a human being.
Well, and then people,
But I hope that suffering in the world gets better, and then there's less suffering. Because honestly, that's a good outcome.